Joel Osteen's sermon review, Trusting When You Don't Understand. Joel Osteen, the author of this sermon, discusses trusting God even when you do not understand. There are times in our lives when nothing makes sense. When the pandemic came, we were trying our best. Children were unable to attend school, and ambitions were put on wait as a result of the downturn in business. There are times when it feels like we are regressing. People will not comprehend everything that happens, so we should not get frustrated. God's methods are not like our ways, and we should try not to imitate them. He has a sixth sense that the rest of us just lack. Even though something seems unfair, this does not negate God's sovereignty. The Lord has ordained your path. If He authorized it, He will make it good. He guarantees that everything will work out in your favor. In and of itself, it may not be a great idea. It was not fair, you are uncomfortable, but it will work in your favor. The difficulties, delay, and treachery lead you to your destiny. In spite of the fact that we all dread poor breaks, losses, and delays, they are essential to our development. Even though that door looks like it leads nowhere, it is actually setting you up for a promotion. That door shut so that a larger one could open. It hurt when that person left you, but it was not all their fault. For the greater good, God shifted them out of the path. Because of opposition at work and your child's unwillingness to do what is right, it was not fair. But what you failed to realize was that it helped to shape your character and make you stronger and more self-assured. There's no way you could be ready for the new levels heading your way if you did not have it. You may not be able to comprehend what I am experiencing. Be anxious or discouraged for the rest of your life. A different tactic is to say, God, I don't understand it, but I trust you. You are in charge. I know that. I will relax knowing that you will get me to my destination. Jesus was ready to be crucified in John 13. During what is known as the Last Supper, he and his followers were eating dinner together. The disciples had spent the last several years with Jesus, seen him heal the sick, resurrect Lazarus from the dead, and feed thousands with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. They accompanied Jesus during his triumphant entrance into Jerusalem. It was an experience that exceeded their expectations. Jesus told them that his hour had arrived and that he was going to be betrayed and crucified during the evening meal. Instead of celebrating, they would ridicule him. Jesus grabbed a basin of water and a towel and bathed the disciples' feet after supper. In verse 7, he added, "You don't realize now what I'm doing, but one day you will understand." Jesus was essentially telling the disciples, you are going to encounter certain things in the future that you will not comprehend. He anticipated that they would experience loneliness, confusion, and fear, so he warned them immediately, you will not understand it now, but you will one day. There will be times in your life when you, like these disciples, do not comprehend what God is doing. Things that do not make sense, difficulties, delays, closed doors, people who have deceived you, and unanswered prayers. It does not make sense right now, but don't worry, you will eventually comprehend. God will connect all the dots. He does not permit anything for which he has no purpose. This difficulty does not surprise God. The illness did not strike him by surprise. The child's errant behavior will not alter his destiny. God remains seated on that throne. He continues to direct your actions. God is currently arranging circumstances in your advantage, even though you cannot see it. When the timing is right and everything falls into place, it will work out for your benefit. You will witness the hand of God. You will look back and realize, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have this position. If that door had not shut, I would not have met this individual. If I had not encountered that hardship, I would not have risen to this level. Do not waste your time attempting to understand everything. There are certain concepts you are not meant to comprehend at this time. We cannot see God's purpose. We cannot comprehend His methods. He is supernatural and not natural. If you are continuously attempting to figure it out, you will become frustrated. Instead of attempting to grasp what is happening, use that energy to praise God for His work. Thank Him for waging war on your behalf. Thank Him for straightening out the crooked areas. Thank Him for bestowing you with His favor. You need not be disappointed by what is not occurring or disheartened by setbacks. You are not living life alone. The universe's creator is breathing in your way. You continue to honor Him, and He will open the appropriate doors, bring the right people, and turn around unpleasant situations. He will accomplish what you could not accomplish. His design for your life is vastly more expansive than your own. To maintain your faith, you must learn to trust when you do not comprehend. At times, it appears as though Jesus has abandoned them and left them to their own devices. It was not until time went on, however, that they realized the crucifixion was part of God's plan. Judas' treachery was a part of the plan. The opposition, mockery, derision, it all had to occur. Redemption and salvation were on the way. Were you annoyed because you could not grasp what God was doing? There must have been a lot going through your mind when your friend decided to break your trust. It is not leading you to your destiny. Are you aware of this? There is no salvation without betrayal. You would not be able to appreciate God's plan if you were not in that scenario. Our prayers can be so focused on what we do not want that we miss the opportunities God has for us to grow spiritually. Betrayals, loneliness, and delays are all part of the process, and they are all required. If Jesus was unable to fulfill His destiny in the absence of things that did not make sense, that was not fair. And people who wronged Him, how are we supposed to fulfill ours in the absence of such things and people? Recognize that everything is part of God's plan, and you will be able to keep your faith. This is not just happening by chance. There is no evidence that the devil was able to gain control of your life from God. Satan is waiting to see what happens. In God's hands, you are safe and sound. Nothing can take you away from me. Being for you is more essential than the world being against you. When you can say, God, I don't understand it, but I trust you, it is a liberating experience. However, I am not going to dwell on the unfairness of the situation. After a few setbacks, I am not going to be a grumpy old man. It is so comforting to know that you are still in charge and that your will for my life will be carried out. What we perceive as a setback is actually an act of divine protection. You may not comprehend what God is doing right now, but one day you will. One day you will think, I'm glad that door didn't open. I'm glad that prayer didn't get answered. I'm glad that relationship didn't get started. In order for you to have faith when you do not understand, I am urging you to trust. God has a comprehensive view of our lives. A few miles down the road, all we can see is ahead of us. Nobody but the devil knows where the road goes. There are shortcuts that he knows about. He is telling you what to do. When God closes a door, do not try to open it back up. Do not give up if things do not work out the way you had hoped they would, but accept that God has a plan and go on. Those are signs that God has something better in store for us. It does not rule out the possibility. It is possible that it is simply not the correct moment. The disciples' feet were cleaned by Jesus. You have earned the title of disciple by following in his footsteps. He would have bathed your feet if you had been there. I can picture him doing that right now. He will tell you, you're going to walk through things you don't understand, see difficulties that you've never seen. If you get agitated or afraid, that is fine. I have already taken care of your worries. I have prepared you for what is coming. I have given you the tools you need to win the war. In the end, it will all work out in my favor. In other words, God is preparing you to ascend to greater heights of power, favor, leadership, and financial riches. Make sure your shoes are off now. There is no need to worry about the pandemic, fear the unknown, or have sleepless nights worrying about what does not make sense. You have been equipped, empowered, and anointed by God. You have been prepared all your life for such a moment. You will not be harmed by any weapon that is aimed at you. Your path will be paved with blessings, favor, healing, and release from slavery, abundance, and victory if you continue to walk in faith and trust even when you do not understand. I'm curious if there is something bothering you right now that you will look back on and recognize was necessary in order for you to reach your goal. In spite of your displeasure, God used it to connect the dots for you. It had a significant impact. Unless you were in the right location at the right time, you would not have met the person, sold the property, or established a business. It is possible that what is causing you to lose hope right now is also a blessing. Right now, you have no idea what God is up to, but you will in the future. God knows what you will need 20 years from now, so do not worry about it. A setback, a betrayal, a disappointment today. In the long run, you may not see how it benefits you. God has promised to turn your misfortunes into blessings. It is time to trust even when you do not understand.